Welcome everyone. Welcome back. Hi, Ibi.
Hi,
Uh,
Costa.
hey, and yeah, this is our third video. We're going to be looking at gene keys playfully into this wide-ranging teaching. And for now, we're going to keep it to ourselves to the keys. So for anyone who's new here, there are 64 keys, and we're just randomly picking or we're going it through intuitively as to what keys we want to speak about to help you sort of raise your awareness and consciousness and to see what contemplations arise in the process. And for today, for this video, we'll be discussing the key of the third key of innovation, which is about innocence at the higher level on the Siddhic realm, and then it's about chaos in the shadow. So the shadow is all about your fears, your challenges, the struggles that we have to face as a society or also individually. And I want to bring this first into um, the chaos that arises tends to happen a lot of the time with our own thinking. So in the book, in the Jinkies book, it says that it is you who corrupts the data within your DNA by only allowing in a frequency that activates its most primitive components. So it is always simply difficulty in the beginning because we're afraid of change, and despite the fact that we are wired to change. So in order to evolve, a human being must embrace chaos rather than trying to protect it. The third shadow causes human beings to distrust life itself and therefore adopt the old survival strategy known as dog eat dog. Um, Incredibly, when you trust in chaos and allow your environment to mutate you rather than trying to control it and stay the same, the greatest magic is revealed to you that in chaos there is and always has been a vast underlying transformative order. And so I share this as well because a lot of us, or especially me, um, when I'm thinking in a certain way, I'm stuck on a frequency that I believe my own stories. I believe what is being that I can't start something or that I can't do anything because of my situation. And uh, and I give you an example. Like right now, I'm looking to start my own business, a new startup business, and I have all these doubts about why it can't work because of where I'm at and the bureaucracies around the situation here where I am in Belgium and taxes and charges and fees. But this is just a form of thinking that is keeping me in that survival mode. And so it's keeping me in this sort of chaotic way of living. And so when I decided to change my influence of thinking to a new thought, to a new way of acting, to a new way of speaking, that can change everything. And that's what happens when you come to innovation. Innovation generally does um, mean that you are adopting or you're embodying a new way of thinking. And I think the quickest way of doing it is to do the reverse action of what you're actually thinking. So if, for example, I help a lot of people in the homeless and like social society with people who are less fortunate. And I realize that if I see a homeless person, and this happens a lot in the metro, when someone's in the metro on the tube, the homeless person starts to discuss like his problems, and a lot of people end up just shying away or staying on their phones. But I try and say, okay, what can I do to, is this guy really real or is it just a fake? But sometimes when I feel it, I will go up to the person, I will immediately give them the money. And the reason I do that is because I want to change my habit of thinking that everyone is either pretending to be something or like I don't have enough. And when I do that, I'm actually changing my environment in the process and not making myself a victim of my circumstances. And so the third gene key with innovation is a reminder for me to know that everything and anywhere in every moment we are here to change. And change has to be allowed in, it has to be um, taken in and used in a way that we can be creative. And that's what this gene keys does is it helps you to know how you can be creative in the circumstances that you're in. And above all, to be able to play with it. So to look at it from a sense of as a child that's seeing something for the first time, and it's creating its own world around that. So there's no limits, there's no barriers, but you've got to keep that playfulness around you. And the best way that I've found to do that is if you're focusing on something or a project or a task at hand, um, you discipline yourself to give yourself time to use that time to make the changes needed in order for the project to come to life. But ever so often, give times in the day to go with the flow of where life is taking you, and being out in nature and giving yourself that vast sense of space that is needed so that you can play with what's around you, to take your mind off what's going on, and that can help open up new thinking, new patterns of seeing something in a new way. So allowing that space to come through can also open up this sense of innovation to take place in your life. And and then yeah, you come to the Siddhic realm, which is about innocence or inner sense. So it's like really coming into your deeper senses and really understanding where you are at this point in time. And when I try to do that and come to that place, then I can feel where I'm being stuck and where I need to place my energy for there to be change. So especially now, I know there's certain things that I should be doing. I'm not doing them, and I have to put my attention to those places because I know there's energy that needs to come alive again. And when they become alive again, then I can feel the freshness arise, then I can feel that there's a unity there being placed, that I'm not being separated from things. And I can also play with this with the different keys. So the third key of being innocence, and with the second key of unity, and also maybe the fourth key of forgiveness, that aligns my inner body to bring it to life, because I'm knowing that there's no one thing that's disconnected from the other. And if I see that I'm not letting myself go, or I'm giving myself too much strain because of the way I'm thinking, then I can forgive. The thing, what I've realized in my life is, because of thanks to the Gene Keys, I can always say, oh, it's okay. I don't feel the lack of love in certain respects, but then I also end up not doing anything because I'm just like, oh, everything is okay. And this place of being, like the 10th gene key, I tend to just lap it up and just say everything's okay. I don't become a servant for good. I just become like saying everything is perfect. So I'm trying to look at it from another angle and say, look, I can forgive, but let me stay to the task and let me come back to my fears so that I can transform them. So that's where I see the third gene key come alive in me. And innovation, when I hear the word, it's, you're going inside yourself. And then by going inside, you're also coming on the outside to know that everything is alive and then everything is fresh. And that to me is a way of giving back to oneself and giving back to the collective, and that keeps me fulfilled. So it's that recycling of ability to make change happen and to be part of that change, not to try and stop it, not to try and resist it, but to say no. What can I do to serve in that regard? And the third gene key is partnered with the 50th. I don't know, Ibi, if you want to share a bit more about that, but the 50th being harmony and being empowering those around you, whether it's in the workforce, whether it's by yourself, that takes you away from corruption. It takes you away from struggle, it takes you away from fear, and puts you back in a place of trust.
Yes, thank you, Costa. That was a very deep and yes, exploration and bringing the third jinki alive. And I think it's a very important archetype, this third jinki. I have it in my EQ with line 5. And it was a big part of my life. I also have the 50 in my attractor field with line 6. So these two partners were very present in my life. And as an archetypal energy, this third jinki is all about change, right? Exactly as you said, it's bringing the pulse of change. So it's not a continuous energy, and it's not about changing when we want, just because we want to change something and be in control of the circumstances, or making sure we are prepared. This is another yes, manifestation of the fear. Because, for example, if you have to go somewhere else in a different country, in a different environment, and people tend to make sure they know everything about that place. They prepare with everything so they can feel secure. And actually, is not about protecting yourself from the unknown, but really looking to something unexpected, because change comes unexpected and it comes with something that changes the known established circumstances. So if we are looking through the eyes of a child uh, for whom everything is new, when we come in this world and we start playing or we start exploring, we don't have anchors, or we don't have fixed formulas and safety net. Everything is new. We are looking to everything through this possibility, the eyes that are looking for with curiosity and openness for the possibility. And that's how playfulness appears, being completely merged with the moment, because a child is not thinking of the past or not making plans for the future, is just playing in the moment with whatever is there and looking at the chaos, like maybe with the eyes of how can I innovate? How can I find a new pattern or create things that are emerging from somewhere, and things that are new? That's why change, if we think of anything, change is life. Life cannot be static. When life becomes static, we die. So it's life is a continuous change. Our body is continuous um, in a continuous change, and life has also is operating in cycles. And the third jinki is all about cycles. So when a cycle is closing, then with the 42, then a new cycle begins. And this is something that is brought by the pulse of life itself. It's nothing we can control, but it's happening aligned with the biggest cycles and the biggest rhythm of nature. So when we think of change, if we look at it as a form of evolution and something that is unstoppable, life is unstoppable. So we have to change, we have to adapt, we have to evolve, we have to integrate and incorporate the experiences we are going through and transform them into wisdom, but by maintaining this purity of the child, like not putting an agenda or expectations or control, or not being corrupted, this pulse of change, by a kind of corrupted energy that will just make things go way instead of going and emerging something that is co-created with life. Your circumstances will go in a different way, but because it's corrupted, it's not going, they will not transform into harmony and equilibrium and playfulness and easiness. But also, the third jinki is very present whenever a new cycle appears, whenever you want to start something new. And it's this very mutative energy. So the 1 and the 2, they hold this direction. They are placed in the body graph in human design, in the orientation, in the G center that gives direction. And the third jinki is always taking these two and bringing into something new that has, in a way, like any creation, its own life. Like from two parents, you have a child, but the child has its own consciousness, his own destiny, his own script and challenges and life, and it's not something that belongs anymore to the parents, but it has, as any creation, its own lifetime and cycle and evolution. So it's about why then is change so difficult. And this is something I can say from my own experience. Whenever something unexpected comes, is this feeling of overwhelm and panic. When there is chaos, you see people are panicking, they are running away, they try to give through the mind something that is safe, a feeling of safety. But if you just stop and accept the chaos and just know that chaos is just a phase, like confusion. I feel confusion and chaos, they are very similar. Chaos is just nothing makes sense. You cannot make things go in an old way. Like nothing is really aligning on or going easy. Everything is just not working. And if you think of Lego game, and you create something, and then in order to create something new, you need to destroy it. So the pieces needs to go again to the primordial state, and that feels chaotic, in order for you to create something new from the innovation. Innovation is not something we put from the thinking. It's something that emerges that was never before there. It's something so new, but it's coming from this gap from when all the pieces are taken away from each other and they can be recombined, or a new meaning can be brought in, then something new can appear. And life is all about something new. It needs to evolve, it needs to bring us upwards towards evolution, and matter needs to evolve and to be refined. And for that, it needs to change constantly and to explore, to experiment, to be put in new circumstances so that we can activate qualities that we don't even know we have inside. that appear, they appear in moments of sudden and unexpected circumstances. So, like when we can follow our intuition, or somebody who is wired in seeing patterns can just see a new pattern where nobody else is seeing in the middle of chaos. So this is, yes, something that we can approach it as a tool and a way of being, and something that is constant in our life. And as we become familiar and not afraid of change and chaos, we can then start um, feel the the underlying cycles that are going on uh, in our bodies, in nature, in society, and we can feel them and we can follow them and align with them rather than go into clinging to something that is known and familiar and start compromising, like using corrupted data, which are not uh, true anymore. Um, yes. So it's interesting also, this fear of unknown and of not knowing what to do when suddenly everything changes, rules, laws, values, and we are going through a big change now in our society, and nothing seems to work anymore. Like everything is at the level of governments, everything seems corrupted, and somehow it's not connected to people and the real needs anymore. And this is when your inner child will know how to play with any circumstances and look like from this curiosity and channel or instead of using the energy for panicking and stay safe, just allow creativity to bring something new alive. So yes, this is what is coming to me right now.
Nice, thanks, Ibi. I just want to share. Can you, Ibi, just allow me to share?
Of course.
Thank you for that overview into the third key. I want to just show you guys another aspect from the Gene Keys website. In resources, there's the living library, but in particular, this part here, which is the codon rings. And like you mentioned, Ibi, it's the cycle, the different cycles that we go through. So you could see the third key as being the starting point with difficulty in the beginning. Um, it can take any shape, but if I was following it through what you see here, so we have the 24 key. So this is going into invention and addiction at the shadow and silence. So how they relate there, when you're innovating, you're also inventing something, you're seeing it as being new, but you're removing yourself from the addiction into the gap. And then it's coming to a place of rest and silence once we attain um, the final product, as it were. We go into the 20th, which is all about presence. It's all about removing ourselves from the superficiality of what we see, or keeping things afloat without really having to go deep. So we need to find our self-assurance as the gift into that. And that could be in anywhere. It could be in our life. It could be in our bodies. It could be in our situation. And then we also then make sure it comes through with simplicity, quintessence, and overriding complexity. That's the 23rd. And 27th about the selfless nature of being able to give and coming to a place where this altruistic nature of giving removes the selfish need to corrupt. And finally, we end up with the 42, which is how to overcome or how to live in death, as it were. And in the Siddhic realm, this is all about being able to celebrate life because there's nothing else to do, because there is life and death are part of the same coin, and we've been able to detach ourselves from what is going on around us and not live in expectation, but we're actually working with it. So as we go through this whole cycle in itself with just the codon ring and bring our attention into the navel, the place of our intuition, the place of where things come alive, we can see and use this as a model for, as a reminder and a model for us um, to keep things afresh, to keep things new. So use these traits, use these keys, use these words, everything that you can see here in this resource or what's being shared and said here today, um, as a means to keep your contemplation above the threshold, away from the shadow, or to go deeper into the shadow, so you can be a more loving, caring, giving child, as it were, so that we can then create this unity for all. Um, so yeah, that's the Gene Key 3, and yeah, it will continue changing us, I'd say.
Yes, I just want to add regarding the difficulties in the beginning. So this is the name in the I Ching, right? Difficulty in the beginning. And this, whenever you start something new, it is part of the way things are working. So you have the two primordial creative energies, the masculine and the feminine, the one and the two. And then you have the third jinki that is emerging, but in a way, you will have to face in that moment at this third step. That's the true beginning. That's the first step of something new after the yin and the yang are combined. And you have to face the inertia of everything that is old, the old structure, the old body, the old beliefs you had, even the old world you will face outside, and people used with you being in a certain way. So your image, your roles, your old ways of being, people are used to them, and they become something um, known, so something safe. As you change, this will come with a challenge because people will expect you to be in an old way, and you have to follow this evolutionary impulse, this creativity that is breaking, in a way, the old structures, and is not approved and is not tested and is not guaranteed. So it can go wrong, it can go well. Life will say. So that's another thing to consider, that this playfulness and looking with this curiosity, with these eyes, big eyes of a child, and seeing every experience as a way to collect wisdom and to go through life it's interesting you brought up the sequence of the codon ring of life and death, which is ruling or yes, our coming into form and going out of the form. But that doesn't mean we don't exist anymore, but it's just the evolution and the journey of the consciousness in the form we have this lifetime. And we need to see this journey as a constant refinement of our body and the awareness. Through the awareness we can bring to the matter and through to the everything that's happening in the material realm, and constant refinement until the body is going, like the spirit is going out of this form, and the form is returning to the earth, to Gaia, and it will become compost or new matter for other bodies. But this, what we refined in our bodies, will go with the codes and with everything into the evolution of the earth.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a collective at play,
It's a collective,
literally.
yes, through the 60, which is at the end of the channel with the three, the channel of mutation is really the ring of Gaia. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we're in a constant state of becoming.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever we do, whatever we, act upon, we're becoming something new. So that in essence will shift our thinking or keep us the same if we want to stay in the past. Yeah. So thanks again, everyone, for today, for viewing. We'll keep these coming and going as we play. We may change our way we do things as this key will may invite us to do. But for now, we're just going to keep it as a nice light touch on the gene keys. But maybe something new will emerge from this as well, with maybe talking about the lines, perhaps, or about maybe spheres, pathways, parts of the programs that Gene Keys offers. Who knows? Everything is up for grabs. Everything is up for discussion. But yeah, we'll keep you posted. So much love for me. Ibi, if you want to say any last words.
Yes, thank you, Costa, and thank you everyone for watching and listening and being here in any time outside of time, in the future, in the present. And please leave us your reflections, or if you have questions or themes you would like to explore. Yes, it would be nice to hear from you. And yes, see you next time. Bye.